Woof woof! Hey guys, it's me Marcus, aka the Mad Dog, and thank you for tuning in. So we now pretty much know all the omnibuses that are going to be released throughout the rest of 2020, so I thought it'd be fun to sit down and talk about the 15 or so omnibuses that I'm most looking forward to getting. So a quick disclaimer, I am throwing out reprints on this list because just because it's a reprint doesn't mean that I'm not looking forward to coming out, so we expect to see a few of those in this list as well. So coming in at number 15, I've got the Miles Morales Ultimate Spider-Man Omnibus. This has just about made it onto the list because I did have the original printing that had that god-awful binding, but when I heard about the reprint I sold the book on and I managed to get me money back for it, and the person didn't pay too much to get the book in the first place, and now I'm just looking forward to the reprint so that I can complete the Ultimate Spider-Man collection that I've already got. But because I already had this book before, it's not that anticipated, and I'm just hoping that Marvel doesn't make the same mistake twice. Like, can you imagine if the binding's awful on this reprint as well? Or can you imagine if it's even worse and it's some kind of troll so that I ended up selling my original omnibus and now they've given us a worse version of it? But if it's fixed this issues, this is definitely one that I'm looking forward to. At number 14, I've got the Superman Batman Omnibus. Now this isn't really that available in the UK just yet. I know a handful of people have managed to get it from stuff like Amazon, but I haven't really seen it out in the open. I'm hoping this is going to be readily in print and I haven't already missed my chance to get this one, because this is definitely on my list, and the reason why it's so low down is because the fact that it's pretty much already out. It's just a matter of me getting my hands on it, and hopefully that happens soon, because Superman Batman was one of the first comics that I ever read, so I'm mainly just looking forward to this for nostalgia reasons. It definitely would have been much higher up on the list if I was doing this video a few months ago, but I didn't even really have a channel then, so I don't know how that could be expected of me. At number 13, we've got the JLA Omnibus by Grant Morrison. This would have been so much higher on the list if it would have just been a JLA Omnibus that happened to be written by Grant Morrison rather than being a Grant Morrison centric omnibus, because I want this entire JSA run to be collected. I originally had the 4 oversized hardcovers, but then they started doing that in paperbacks, and then I always just sort of tricked myself into thinking that they were going to continue and go back to doing OHCs. But they didn't, and when this omnibus got announced, I hoped it'd be the sign that we're going to get like a full omnibus run of the JLA run, and hopefully that might happen, but I'm just hoping they don't do what they've already done with Swamp Thing in the new 52, what they've already done with Super Sons, and what they've done with the new Teen Titans. And by which I mean, I hope they don't bring out a JLA by Grant Morrison omnibus, I buy it, it's got those missing issues, and then they go back and do a proper JLA omnibus where they include those issues and the issues that they've missed. They've done this on far too many occasions now, and I can't be the only person who's getting annoyed by it. So hopefully they do this, but that's the reason why it's so low down on the list, because I'm looking forward to it, but at the same turn I hope they don't do a DC move and end up just like making this omnibus redundant pretty much as soon as I get it. Number 12, I've got Batman by Grant Morrison Omnibus Volume 3. Yep, we're going to double Morrison this one, but I remember reading the Batman RIP storyline when I was quite a bit younger, and I didn't really understand it at the time, but then since then my tastes have matured, I've understood a bit more about the DC universe, so I've got the other 2 volumes. I haven't actually cracked them open and read them yet because I was waiting for this series to be completed, because like I said, we don't know how DC operates anymore, so it'll be nice when this one's released because then I can finally read the other 2 books alongside it. At number 11, I've got the Uncanny X-Men reprints. Now just to clarify, this list isn't anything official or anything like that, so I'm going to include all 4 of these books as one, because there isn't one that I'm looking forward to more than the others, and they're all quite equal. Like, I'm not looking forward to 2 more than I am 1, but I'm not looking forward to 1 more than I am 4. I've got an equal amount of excitement to get this complete set, so that's why they're all being included in the same category. Because I did manage to get the Mutant Massacre Omnibus, which was a storyline that I really enjoyed when I read like the really thin paperback as a kid, and from getting that I realised how stupid I was to not actually get the Uncanny X-Men books when I could, so Marvel's now being gracious enough to give us that chance again to get all 4 books at once, but it's just great that I'm going to be able to fill this massive gap of X-Men books in my collection. You've got some of the best storylines in here that I've read sporadically throughout the years, so you've got God Love Man Kills, you've got Days of Future Past, you've got the Dark Phoenix saga, you've got the storyline where Wolverine's getting married in Japan, so you've got so many great stories in here, and it's just going to be great to have a gap filled within my collection of just seminal X-Men titles. Number 10, and of course this is going to make it onto the list, I've got the Excalibur Omnibus. I'm excited as well that this is a volume 1, but I'm more excited at the back that this has got Captain Britain on the front cover, because to me that says that if this book sells well, if this book generates some buzz about it, we are more than likely going to get a Captain Britain Omnibus reprint. So I'm excited about this book on its own, but I'm also excited about the possibilities that this can bring forward. It's basically the X-Men set in Britain, so of course this is a storyline that I'm going to buy into. I like as well that it shows that Marvel's taking some risks with some of the other titles that they've got in the universe, so hopefully some of those more off the beaten track stories that we've wanted printed in Omnibus for years will get a chance now that we're getting stuff like Excalibur. But just be realistic with me for a few seconds. If this book sells amazingly well and they commission a volume 2, they commission a volume 3, or however many omnibuses omnibuses that they need? Are you genuinely telling me that you don't think we're going to get Captain Britain reprint and that we might not get that Captain Britain in the MI13 storyline that came out a few years ago? I think I've got the title of that correctly. I haven't got the trade paperbacks anymore. I ended up selling them on. But just think of this book as exciting for the book that it is and also the potential that it carries moving forward. Number 9, I've got the Batgirl by Gail Simone New 52 Omnibus. Yeah, it's a good time to mention this now, but no, obviously the schedule's been changed a bit. I'm not too certain if any of these books are being pushed to 2021. I think this one might be, but if it is, please just give me the benefit of the doubt. I'm still excited for these books, but that's the reason why Batwoman by Greg Rucka and J.H. Williams III isn't on this list as well. But I'm not too sure if Batgirl's been pushed back, but I don't believe it has. I've not heard anything so far, so that's why it's on my list today. But I'm glad that we're getting some of those runs of the New 52, because the New 52 as a whole has quite a bad reputation. Always, it seems to already have been something that's been gone and forgotten, but we had some great ones. We had Aquaman, we had Animal Man, we had Swamp Thing, we had The Flash, we had Batman, we had Batman and Robin. So now as well we've got Batgirl to be able to fill a hole in the New 52 collection. The New 52 was a major jumping on point for myself and a lot of other people, and I really enjoyed the first start of the Batgirl one that I read in single issues. So years later it's great to finally be able to finish off that story, and I'm just glad that they're collecting this in an omnibus. Now at number 8 I've got the Absolute Carnage Omnibus. For Christmas last year my girlfriend got me Venom by Donny Cates Volume 1, and I was so hyped for that. It was such a good book, I really enjoyed it. I was half tempted to jump to single issues to read the rest of that. But then obviously by researching into it I heard about the Absolute Carnage event, and I just saw that there were so many tie-ins that I didn't know where to jump in. It's good that Marvel's finally taking this approach where they're just getting an event and they're just omnibusing it in one collection, because there's others that I hope they do for that as well. I hope they go back and they do House of M and Siege and stuff like that, just to make the reading order for that a lot easier for readers. So it's great Absolute Carnage is getting an omnibus, and it's the first time that both Absolute Edition and Omnibus Edition are in the same title, which is a bit weird. But this couldn't have come out at a better time so that I can fill that gap after the Venom hardcover Volume 1, and hopefully Venom hardcover Volume 2 continues after this, so it's just going to make like a nice sandwich between those. And there's nothing I like more than a nice sandwich. Number 7, we've got another reprint and also another cheat. It is the X-Men by Chris Claremont and Jim Lee omnibuses. These were whales for the longest amount of time. They demanded such high prices. It's kind of surprising that these haven't been reprinted before now. But it's better late than never, but again it's going to fill out an amazing gap. I'm a massive Jim Lee fan. I didn't have the money to buy these when they first came out, and I just saw them go out of print before my eyes. So now that I'm older and I've got a full-time job and a mortgage and a car payment, and actually there's not a lot to look forward to when you get older. But it's great that Marvel decided to reprint this and other books that some people might not have had a chance because they weren't in the community at that point, or maybe they just didn't have the money at the time, or maybe they just completely slept on it. So I'm going to treasure these two when they eventually come into the dog pound, because I knew how difficult it was for other people to actually get these books. Number 6, we've got Batman by Paul Dini. I haven't read into the contents of this too much. I'm not sure if it's got Batman Mad Love included. I feel like it should do if it's a Paul Dini omnibus. But I know for one thing it's got the continuation of the Hush storyline, and I remember getting Heart of Hush years and years ago and ended up selling it even before I read it, which was a bit weird. It was at that time when I was trying to get a car and I just sold books that I thought I wasn't going to like. But one book that I didn't sell was Absolute Batman Hush. I have loved that story since the day that I read it back in, like, what was it? I would have been about 15 or something. So to have a part sequel about this and also have a run that's by a writer that I really like, who's had so much to do with the Arkham games, it's just going to be great to be able to see what he does when he combines one of my favourite storylines along with one of my favourite game universes. And I know obviously it's not set in the game universe, we've got an omnibus about that nobody seems to care about anyway, but you know what I mean. I just want to see how his writing takes form with knowing how good that he's wrote Batman products in the past. Number 5, and we've got a thick boy here, we've got the War of Realms Omnibus. How can I not be looking forward to this? Hopefully it signifies that a Thor by Jason Aaron omnibus isn't far away. It's kind of weird that this one came out first, but if buying this means that we might get those Thor omnibuses, I'm definitely going to show Marvel that I'm committed. But this event just seems to be amazing. It seems to have encapsulated so much of the Marvel universe that I'm surprised that they're doing this as one big omnibus. I thought it would go the way of Avengers vs X-Men, that they'd include the main title in one hardcover and then they'd do like a companion OHC. But it was to my surprise, and it's even better that we're getting it all as one big massive omnibus. I hope Marvel's got the proper binding in place to be able to secure that bad boy. But there's so many great artists, so many great writers, there's so many different series that are included in this. To go back to something I said earlier, I actually think that issues 13 to 15 of the Venom Time series or in the War of Realms Omnibus. So you know it's going to patch up a gap there as well, so it seems to be just fixing a lot of problems in my collection at the moment. Number 4, we've got She-Hulk by Dan Slott. So we don't know if this book's going to be pushed back so it can coincide properly with the Disney Plus show that's coming out. But regardless, I am so happy we're getting this book because I remember trying to hunt down the complete collections. I can't remember if I got volume 1 or 2, but another one went out of print, so I've only ever had half of this series. I like She-Hulk as a character. I really enjoyed her when she was part of John Byrne's Fantastic Four. I'm trying to get my hands on the Byrne by She-Hulk Omnibus. She's a great character, I've really enjoyed her, but at the minute I've only ever really seen it as sort of like a supporting character. I really like a lot of Dan Slott's writing. The majority of his Spider-Man run that I've read I've enjoyed. So to see what he does with a character that I haven't really seen get a lot of attention in her own single runs, this is something that I'm really looking forward to, and I am just glad that I don't have to hunt down those complete collections anymore. Number 3, it's the Nightwing New 52 Omnibus. This is written by Kyle Higgins, who wrote Power Rangers, which I love. This has got the Nightwing in the red suit, which I love. It's also got the words Nightwing and Omnibus, which is something that I love. Sure, yes, of course, I wish it was Chuck Dixon. You've heard me talk about this in my Most Wanted Omnibuses from DC, but I'm just happy that DC's giving us some more dick. Yeah, I should definitely rephrase that sentence. But like the Excalibur Omnibus, I'm excited for both the book itself and the potential that this might have. Can you imagine if sales of this are so good that they just immediately announce that they're doing a Chuck Dixon Omnibus? I will absolutely lose my shit, but I'm just looking forward to this story anyway. If it's half as good as his Power Rangers run, I'm excited for it. And again, the New 52's getting some love that I feel like it should have got from the beginning. Number 2, we've got the Batman Road to No Man's Land Omnibus. This just makes me excited from every perspective. Again, you're probably not surprised if you saw me 15 Most Wanted DC Omnibuses, but No Man's Land is one of my favourite comic events of all time. I read this as a kid, I never actually read the build-ups, so to me it's like getting a prequel to a book that you always loved. I get to see how everything happened. I know all the sort of like mini elements of it, but I've never actually seen the full thing. So I'm glad that they're doing this book. I'm probably glad that they're doing this before they actually do a No Man's Land Omnibus, but I'm just hoping that sales of this are good enough to warrant the rest of the series being printed, especially if you imagine that they get the trade dress correctly and they don't do like a Nightfall Omnibus kind of thing with the spines. This can just be a great book from every angle. And my number 1 pick, and it should come as no surprise to any of you if you watch my comic haul, it is of course Conan the Barbarian by Kurt Busiek. Again, still don't know if I'm pronouncing his name correctly, but yes, of course this is on my list. The Colossal Conan has been a whale of mine for years now. I've recently got back into Conan in the last 3 or so years. I was excited when Marvel got the license. I was excited that he made it into the Savage Avengers. I love everything that Marvel has done so far Conan wise, and the fact that Marvel's doing this book just shows that they know exactly what we want and they bring in the content that we want to see and want to buy. This is a day 1 purchase for me. There is absolutely no way that I'm going to sleep on it. I've already got a pre-order. It's at cover price at the moment on the pre-order price guarantee, and if it stays that way I'm still going to be happy with it. If I love this half as much as I love Savage Sword of Conan, then I'm in for a treat. But this is modern Conan. It's everything that we want to see, and hopefully there's just going to be continued omnibuses for this, so we get more modern Conan omnibuses. Hopefully we get even up to the recent releases with like the Jason Aaron run and stuff like that. I was going to include more Conan omnibuses on this, but I didn't think it was fair because I love the cover that they've already got to the original Marvel Years Volume 4 and Volume 5. I'm looking forward to Savage Swords Volume 3 and 4. I probably could have made a list of the most anticipated Conan omnibuses that I'm looking forward to this year. I love that Marvel's just like stepped up the gauge to this and they're just releasing more and more, and I'm just going to keep buying them. I can't wait to eventually have a complete Conan run, just start to finish, in all those beautiful omnibuses with the like continued trade dress that they've got. But that's my list, and hopefully you've enjoyed it. Hopefully there's some omnibuses on here that you're looking forward to throughout the rest of the year. But comment below and let me know which book of 2020 you're most looking forward to getting. And if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, and if you didn't like this video, why did you get this far? Follow me on Instagram. I make sure that if I see any kind of comic deals, I always put it in my stories, and you can also keep up to date on videos. But the best way to keep up to date on videos is to click the subscribe button and to click the bell notification next to it. But I'll see you at the next video, but until then, keep reading, stay safe, and just keep barking all you mad dogs.